fire, fire for fire, fire.
I love Schedule 1. It's such a fun little game. Okay, let's watch it. What is this? Let's talk about Schedule 1 is a problem. They want it gone. Body search in progress. Uh-oh.
Have you guys noticed how increasingly more common it's becoming for some of these indie games to come out of left field and just absolutely decimate? I'm talking player numbers and sales that are embarrassing AAA games.
And you want to know the best part? It's thanks to like streamers like Queso and other people that play random little indie games, try them out. Some of them are just trash. Like, you just play them once and leave it alone. I think that streamers unironically help a lot.
Games made by one guy beating teams of 1,000 developers, tens of thousands if we're going to count Ubisoft in this conversation. Well, probably not for long, but
not
Schedule 1 is a game about friendship. It's about making connections. It's about starting from the bottom and working your way up. It's a game about drugs. It's a game about drugs, which makes it all the more ironic for how addicting the game is to play. But I'm seeing this game all over the place. It's on Twitter, it's on Reddit, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch.
The OST is so, like, chill. Like, it's such a good OST. Like, the music inside of the game, when it plays sometimes, it's relaxing.
My buddy, who just got his first gaming PC, opens up Steam for the first time, and it's the first game that he buys. Games like Schedule 1 are becoming a problem. Because these games are beating out games that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make their games. They're doing it without any marketing. And worst of all, they're cutting out the middleman. You can't have that. Because once you start doing those kind of things, when you have that kind of freedom to create and you're reaching that kind of success, you're going to start to attract some unwanted attention. And that's exactly where Schedule 1 is today.
I think we're having an indie renaissance just because of all the negative attention that AAA studios are getting. Or at least I'd like to think so.
So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the insane success of Schedule 1, my experience playing it, and why an industry that's ran by investors can't let games like this exist. Schedule 1 released 2 weeks ago, and within days, it had already climbed the Steam charts. As of recording this video, it is #1 top seller on Steam. It is #4 for concurrent players, and it recently hit a peak of over 4.
It's almost competing with frickin' Dota, man. Dota's so dead, man.
150,000 concurrent players, now averaging 340,000 concurrent players per day. It's currently outperforming Path of Exile, which just released new content, edging out Monster Hunter Wild.
BOEL! I mean, to be fair, the new season is so borked. I keep crashing on it constantly.
After its first title update, and it's completely humiliating the quadruple A spectacle that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Schedule 1 is another entry in what is becoming an increasingly common trend: indie developers releasing games with little to no marketing and watching them explode across the internet. Think Undertale, Stardew Valley, Vampire Survivors, Valheim, Palworld, Balatro. Games made by a single developer or a tiny team delivering exactly what players have been missing and absolutely dominating the charts. The game was developed by Tyler, an independent developer out of Sydney, Australia, working under the name Tyler's Video Game Studio.
I'm surprised that they let him release this game. I thought Australia was kind of strict about, like, gaming, like, game development with, like, drugs and killing and blood. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I just know that they have a pretty strict basis.
I laugh every single time I read that. Tyler handled nearly every aspect of the game himself, designing the game, programming it, systems, and the art. But he had some help with collaborators like K-Soul, who's the one that composed the game's catchy soundtrack. Seriously, I've been jamming that music in the background while I've been writing now. And Cody 2, who created some of the game's graffiti. Now, despite its niche, the game has resonated with an enormous...
Holy shit, she just handed him $9,000!
...audience, and I think part of that has to do with the genre. Schedule 1, at its core, is just a crafting sim. You start with nothing and you work your way up through progressively more complex crafting systems, increasing your wealth, unlocking more neighborhoods, and expanding your influence. It's a familiar loop, or one that I've definitely hooked myself on quite a lot with games like Terraria, Valheim, Enshrouded, or Minecraft, but Schedule 1's
OG Thunderfuck. Bro, I made one of the drugs and it was called Smelly Cum, and I was like, bro, it's so nasty.
Twist is the plot. You're essentially a small-time dealer growing your own product, refining it, selling it, and building out a crew to be able to help you scale out.
And
I've personally sunk over 50 hours into the game now, and I've nearly unlocked everything short of the final neighborhood. And I'm completely sold. I keep playing the game every chance that I get. I love games like this, open-ended crafting sims where you get to define the pace yourself, experiment with systems, and you get to feel like your time that you're investing into the game directly translates to actual growth within that game. You can be methodical, you can squeeze every little bit of value out of all of your resources, or you can brute force your way through, scaling up as fast as possible.
Where's Benji, bro? Where's my boy Benji?
Hell, you can even automate the entire process, so the game basically just plays itself. It's up to you. Don't laugh at me for getting technical, but what I think makes this game really special is how seamlessly it transitions between its two core gameplay loops, production and social progression. The first loop, growing and crafting, is simple at first. Plant a seed, water it, harvest the flower.
You can buy horse semen. I'm literally just sort of like being able to buy that.
But over time, you start to get access to additives, fertilizers, environmental controls, and scalable infrastructure. Every plant then has its own unique traits, cost, potency, NPC demand. Then comes in the mixing system where you can start to enhance products with different effects, like making NPCs shoot out lightning, walk around on clouds, or turn them into aliens or zombies. It's ridiculous, but it serves a purpose to increase the product's price and its appeal to your customers. I found myself lost here for hours experimenting with different mixtures and different orders of those mixtures and different effects that they could have, and now I have an 8-buff recipe, completely automated, and it's listing the product for over $1,000. That feels good. Which then that brings me to the game's second loop, networking. And
I like watching Queso play it too, chat. I do. Because you want to know what he does? He role plays the whole time. Like, all the NPCs have, like, a story tied in with him, and that's what makes it fun to watch. I genuinely think people, like roleplay without even realizing it. Like, I know a lot of people like, oh, yeah, roleplay is cringe. Like, that's what losers do. It's like, do you realize, like, some people roleplay and it's funny? Yeah.
As your operation grows, you start to target different specific NPCs based on their preferences. You start to build rapport, earn trust, unlock new customers, recruit new crew members, and eventually get access to new suppliers. They're going to boost your overall operation. It's a system that blends an emergent strategy with good old-fashioned trial and error, and it's surprisingly deep. Look, I'll be honest with you guys, I completely assumed that this game's popularity was mostly due to its shock value. It's not every day that you see a game about selling powder and flour to cartoon NPCs become a top seller, but the longer I played, the more I realized how satisfying all of its core systems really are. It's not just the subject matter, it's how involved you are in the process. And honestly, I think that's something that a lot of modern games have largely forgotten. In a lot of ways, the game actually reminds me of all the things that I really loved about Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a crazy comparison to make when you think about it. But when you're crafting a potion in that game, you're picking the herbs, you're grinding them manually, you're boiling them, you're maximizing your yield based on real input, you're smithing swords with a hammer and timing it perfect.
It's immersive, and that's what people kind of lost with AAA games. They only want the end product. They don't want the, like, going out and picking herbs. Like, World of Warcraft is just, like, the beginning of what people wanted at the start. They simplified it down, but you had to go pick your herbs. Like, back in Classic, you had to, if you wanted blinding powder, you had to have herbalism, and you had to go out in the real world and go pick those herbs or go buy them at the auction house. I blame Zoomers. I don't blame Zoomers, because at the end of the day, people wanted games, people wanted instant gratification, and that's what gaming companies did instead of making what games that they wanted to do for maximum profit. Like, it's really sad. It really is, because at the end of the day, you could probably get some Zoomer into these kinds of games. They just have to, like, get used to it at first. How many people wanted instant gratification, though? A lot. But the problem is that they don't know that there's a lot more to having non-instant gratification video games.
You're controlling the temperature.
And it also is made quickly. A game like this takes a long time to make with love. Now, you know, instant gratification, you're like boom, 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 boom. Like, you get the dopamine instantly.
Sure, you're properly sharpening weapons. This game makes you feel like you're doing that sort of work. Schedule 1 despite its goofy presentation, accomplishes something very similar here. You're adding ingredients, you're testing combinations, you're watching the effects, packaging your own product, and you're hitting the streets to make sales. The feedback loop is immediate and immersive, and it's not about watching a progress bar, it's about feeling like you're actually earning something by doing it. And
the people walking around, NPCs have schedules. You can go out and sneak at night and sell drugs and stuff. Like, I don't know. Shit out a new con every year? Yes, this game probably took like at least like more than 2 years to make. Even though it looks simple, it coming out was clearly a labor of love.
Loses its charm. The art style is crude in a deliberate way, full of absurd and surreal looking NPCs with exaggerated animations. You're hiding in dumpsters. The game's fastest vehicle is a golden skateboard, and you're brewing concoctions that warp the laws of nature itself. But underneath all of that madness is a tight, responsive, and deeply satisfying gameplay loop. You're laughing 1 minute, and you're planning your expansion strategy the next. I love that every system feeds into one another. Want to automate your production? Well, you're going to need
It's kind of like Factorio a little bit. Like, a little bit dumbed down. I think Factorio is turbo autism, but it's definitely kind of the same principle. Like, you're expanding and it becomes convoluted. You have to get into it.
Build out, buy some infrastructure, and hire some employees. Want to scale up quickly? Well, you're going to need to build rep with your suppliers to be able to make more product. Want to maximize your profit?
He gives him a little nod!
You need to mix with precision and cater to customer demand. Yet, at the exact same time, you can ignore all of that if you want. But if you want to dive in, you're rewarded for it. There's a surprising amount of freedom in how you approach everything. You can have your crew pushing your product while you're the one that's focusing on crafting. You can work solo and micromanage every step. You can run your empire in real time during the day and then focus on restocking and production at night. The game never really forces you into one particular play style, but everything feels intuitive enough that you always feel like you're making some sort of progress.
You're not shoehorned into one singular activity. It's so beautiful. It really, truly is like a fun game. I would highly recommend it.
I think what Schedule 1 proves yet again in this case, especially when it comes to these indie games, is that the gap between indie and AAA has never been wider. I mean, I never take the time to analyze or even notice these kind of things if they even exist in AAA games. Their games are so bloated, overproduced, obsessed with cutscenes and cinematic presentation, often to the detriment of the actual experience. Schedule 1 is the opposite, and I love games like this.
And there's a story, but it's not like hinging on the fact of you succeeding. You can take your time and figure it out.
So do the players. That's obvious enough. It's lean, it's focused, it's gameplay first, and it works because it never forgets what players are actually here for. To play.
So
Schedule 1 only costs $20. It delivers potentially hundreds of hours of content, strong systems, tons of replay value, and a surprising amount of multiplayer depth. It didn't need a cinematic trailer. It didn't need a live action ad campaign. It didn't need pre-order bonuses or influencer hype. It just needed to be good, and that was enough. This is going to sound ridiculous. I'm trying to think of the best way to be able to explain it. The graffiti on the wall.
When I saw this, I was like, what the fuck? It's a fucked up SpongeBob speaking Chinese? Does anybody know what it says? Like, anybody, like, read Chinese? Maybe it's Kanto? I don't know, I can't tell. A SpongeBob on meth, being chilling. Zoom in. I can't! It says Alana is fat. How would he know? Yeah. It's not. It says I'm ready. No way, really? It says Splash Bob in Chinese. Oh, that's cool.
It's oddly relatable.
Oh, I saw this too. I saw cock. Ignore that. Go back. I will build no dynasty. I will consume corporate slop. Soy juice and insect protein will fuel me. Gentrification equals monochrome utopia. I saw this and I was like, damn, this game's kind of deep, huh? Yeah, this guy is in Australia and he's like, all right, I'm putting in the game.
Makes me feel like one of my friends could have made this game. And I think that has something to do with the game's popularity. Because the inside jokes, the naming of the different products that you can put into stuff, the naming of the product that comes out in the end. I got the whole block hooked on Gorilla Smeg.
No. Smelly cum. Smelly cum's where it's at.
Hilarious, dude. And that's endearing. You want to see that. You see yourself in the game and you feel like you can relate to the person who made it. I don't feel that way with a lot of games, and I haven't for a long time. And I think
there's not a lot of games that make me audibly chuckle and go like, bro.
That's an incredibly important connection to be able to make. It's one of the intangibles of game design where you feel like your humor, imagination, your interests are shared by the people that made it. You feel vindicated in that. Like you have something in common.
Yeah.
And it's called being in touch with your audience. And I think just about anybody can say that this industry has been way out of touch with its audience for a long time. And I've played a lot of games since starting this channel. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like these game developers live in an alternate universe.
Yeah.
Nothing feels relatable to me. Everything has to be a
because they don't play their own fucking games. The guy that put cock into his own video game plays his own game, and it made him laugh when he put it in. That's the problem. Genuinely, I think that's what it is.
Tangent to what's going on in the real world. Everything has to have a deeper message. Not everything needs to be like that. It's just not necessary. $20. Another $20 game goes on to sell millions of copies, making a solo developer a millionaire overnight. You know, when this game released and it immediately started to find some popularity, the developer went and put the game on sale. Who does that? Somebody that wants to make money. Somebody that knows what you need to do. Make a fun game. Make it fairly priced. People buy it.
What?
Crazy concept, I know.
What? No way. What? That's crazy. What? Making a good game and people enjoy it? Oh, definitely not Nintendo. Nah, fuck that. They'll eat any Pokemon slop. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, I do agree with that, with the sentiment that it is the customer's fault to an extent. But if you truly love the art form, you, at the end of the day, you will find a customer that will also appreciate your art form. And it shows. This isn't a flashy game. It's a little clunky. The running's a little bit clunky. No, not the running. The skateboarding's a little bit clunky. The driving the car's a little bit clunky. But it's got enough love put into it that people are willing to overlook it.
This isn't rocket science. How many times have I seen these developers that are basically trying to learn astrology to figure out what players want? Maybe if we read their horoscopes.
No. The worst one I ever saw was with Blizzard. So Blizzard, I forget when they got bought out completely by Activision Blizzard, but there was like a leaked investor meeting where they talked about how people engaging with a certain system was a good sign that people enjoy the system. And that was the legendary grinding that they had in Legion that people fucking hated because they had to grind the game in order to play the game. And they thought that was a good metric because the monthly average user metric was really, really high in the first month of release. And it was like, yeah, obviously, because everyone's fucking grinding their ass off to play the fucking game. And I'm like, and then it obviously tapered off. Yeah, monthly average user. And it's like, the MAU is what matters to them. They don't give a fuck about anything else. It's like, oh, monthly average user is high. That means the game is doing really well. It's like, no, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but okay.
Then you have a game that makes it where you can put horse glaze and chili powder into something to set somebody's hair on fire and give them a long face. Monkey brain me like game. Me give money.
Me too.
It's not that hard.
Me too.
It's really not that hard. But that scares these C-suite executives because they don't understand the popularity, the virality, the relatability of these games because they can't reproduce it. They can't crack the code on this kind of thing. And because of that, their only answer is to suppress it. It's actually kind of insane how often we're seeing some of these viral indie hits run.
I don't see any articles talking about how amazing like the game is. I've only heard it through word of mouth from other people and maybe other streamers, and then other streamers playing the game and being like, I like the game. I don't hear about very video game journalists being like, oh my god, this is amazing, game of the year.
Straight into some form of cold, corporate, or bureaucratic resistance. Whether it's from platform policies, rating boards, legal ambiguity, or flat-out attempts to suppress or discredit them, there is a growing pattern here. A developer releases something fresh and unexpected, it takes off, and suddenly they're in the crosshairs. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they succeeded outside of the system. When you take a moment to look at the legal and bureaucratic minefield that these indie developers have to tiptoe around just to be able to release a game, it's genuinely surprising that we ever see anything original at all.
Perseverance, man. Perseverance.
The gaming landscape isn't built to encourage creativity. It's structured to protect existing power, intellectual property, and investor interests. In some ways, the system is designed to suffocate innovation unless it's coming from an approved source. I mean,
when Valve won the rights to Dota, basically, that was a big breath of fresh air into the MOBA scene. Yeah, it was a big deal. And that's kind of when League of Legends popped off too, because they were like, phew! Okay, Blizzard's not gonna sue us. Uh-oh, okay, thank God. We're gonna actually put a lot of effort into the game now.
Balatro got slammed by ratings boards for supposedly promoting gambling just because it used poker hands.
Why does Balatro do that when there's fucking Genshin Impact that's rated T for teen and has boobies all over the screen? Like, excuse me?
In a scoring system, despite no real gambling mechanics being in the game whatsoever. Pal World came under fire for copying Pokemon, even though the gameplay is wildly different because Nintendo's patent net is so wide that even breathing now seems like it's lawsuit worthy.
They made a new patent just to fuck with them, by the way. Not only that, there was a patent that they did not even have yet. They made one and then sued them. For, like, throwing a ball or something. Like, throwing a ball and capturing is, like, Pokemon patent.
I mean, while in litigation with Pocket Pair, Nintendo is still trying to file new patents to retroactively catch them on. It's reaching a point where making a game that even feels...
Which shouldn't even be legal. Like, at least have the patent first before you try to sue, I feel like, no? Like, I understand maybe if you're a new company, you can kind of excuse it, but, like, really? Like, you're Pokemon. You've been out for, like, what, 30 years more, maybe even? And you don't even have a patent like that, like, established? Like, you're trolling, right?
Familiar, or is using visual shorthand that players understand and get you pulled from storefronts and buried in lawsuits.
Oh my gosh.
Now we have Schedule 1 going through the same mess, originally reported on by Andrew Heighton of Insider Gaming in an article titled Schedule 1 being investigated for IP copyright infringement claims.
I doubt anything will come of that. I hope not, because that would be so fucking dumb.
Right. Evidence on the investigation surfaced on a website, Pab Business, featuring a document entitled Movie Games Essay 17-2025 Decision to Commence Investigation Against the Creators of Schedule 1 Production for claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and related to committing an act of unfair competition against it. Movie Games SA has its own series of drug dealing games, Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and Drug Dealer Simulator 2. While the name is more overt than its goal, both titles have attracted thousands of players respectively. The legal
yeah, except one of them actually was popular because they actually developed it into an actual game. I saw the comparisons. Like, it is similar, but like, this is so above and beyond what the other person made.
Document mentions potential infringement of the issuer's intellectual property rights and activities that bear characteristics of unfair competition have been identified. Ergo, Schedule 1 is too similar to the Drug Dealer Simulator series.
That's so cap. That is so cap.
Things began as soon as Schedule 1 released on March 24th and featured a comparative analysis of the IP, which includes Drug Dealer Simulator and Drug Dealer Simulator 2 and the Schedule 1 project. The investigation is strongly looking into elements of the game's plot, mechanics, as well as UI user interface. It finishes by saying, the issuer will immediately inform about further actions related to the pursuit of claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and the act of unfair competition in subsequent current reports. Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say the unfair competition they're referring to is the part where Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2...
Exactly! Look at where this peaked! Yeah, they stole our market! When did this game come out? Let me look it up. Drug Dealer Steam DB. When did this game come out? Release date 16th of April 2020. It's been 5 fucking years and it peaked at 7,000 players. Yeah, like you're actually mad. You're malding, man. You're malding.
Combined couldn't even crack 20,000 players, while Schedule 1 is one of the most talked about and played games on Steam right now. At least with Nintendo and Pal World, you could kind of see where that lawsuit was coming from.
Yeah.
The creature designs, the ball throwing mechanics, they were all surface level.
Yeah, and also it's parodying a lot. Like, Drug Simulator is not... Like, the second one came out in June of 2024, and it's still bombed. Like, it didn't do, like, well. It's, like, got 1,000 people playing. Which, again, it's just an indie game, but... Like, obviously, this is way more successful.
Elements that were echoing Pokemon. Even with Temtem, they got out of the way of Nintendo by making sure they were using cards instead of balls. But this investigation against Schedule 1 feels completely out of pocket. It's not just a stretch, it's embarrassing that they're even trying. I've taken the time to check it out.
No, if you're jealous, you'll try anything to get that little bite. I call it like a bite. Everyone wants a bite of your cake if you're successful. Yeah, they want to get a little nibble. Give me a bite.
And Schedule 1 doesn't really share anything structurally significant with their games whatsoever. The crafting, the progression loops, the interface, the tone, it's all completely different. To be honest, Ubisoft has a stronger claim against them ripping off a Far Cry than they do against Schedule 1. In their games, you start off as a low-level pusher working for somebody else, then slowly build out your own operation. It leans way harder into weighing product, micromanaging dead drops, dodging rival gangs, and ferrying shipments across.
Honestly, actually true. I didn't even think about it that way. The start out is very similar, but like at the end of the day, the mechanics and the UI is different.
Different islands. It's less of a game and more of a chore simulator. Sure, they both have similar themes, but if having drugs as your premise is going to be the trigger for legal action, by that logic, are they going to go after Breaking Bad next? After news of the
Oh my god, imagine, dude.
Investigation broke, media outlets jumped the gun and ran with headlines saying that
Ubisoft
Schedule 1 was facing an active lawsuit. The internet then did what it does best. Players flooded Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 with negative reviews, dragging the game into a storm that they weren't.
I don't think that was a good idea. I think they're already digging themselves into a hole, but yeah.
Ready for. In response to this, the developers posted a statement on Steam clarifying the situation. To paraphrase a little bit, they're saying that there is no lawsuit, that they're not trying to shut down Schedule 1, and the investigation was only launched after repeated comparisons between the two games raised concerns.
Okay, that's cope. There's no shot. You shouldn't even be investigating. Like, really? This is what the game looks like?
Since Movie Games SA is a publicly traded company, they claim that they are legally obligated to investigate potential infringement and disclose it through proper stock market channels, ESP.
The devs say that the publisher is doing it and they have no involvement. Okay, well that makes it way worse. If they didn't do anything, then yeah, the review bombing is just dumb. Even dumber than I thought. No, they're not. Okay, I'd have to look into it. Either way, I think it sucks. Like, they shouldn't be doing it.
The media then picked it up from there, and the story spiraled out of control. They also then clarified, saying that the developer of Drug Dealer Simulator, Byte Runners, isn't involved at all. It's
okay, so this is correct. Okay.
Strictly a publisher-level decision. The post then closes with them insisting that there is
cringe.
no bad blood, and that they even sent Schedule 1's developer best wishes before the game blew up. But whether it's legal obligation or damage control, it's clear that this isn't the kind of attention that they were expecting.
No.
And this is where things get really weird for me, because there was a second response, and this time it was from the actual developers at Byte Runners, where I think the first response was actually written by their publisher, and it's kind of a plot twist. In a statement that they posted on Twitter, Rafal, the CEO and developer of the Drug Dealer Simulator series, basically said, "We had no idea that this was happening." According to him, the development team wasn't informed of the investigation at all, and they only found out when the story blew up online, claiming that they were just as blindsided as everyone else. He writes, "In light of the recent Movie Games versus Schedule 1 legal investigation controversy, I would like to state that we, Byte Runners, the development studio behind Drug Dealer Simulator series, do not have any ill intentions towards neither Schedule 1, TVGS, or the game community. Actions taken by our publisher, Movie Games SA, are a part of an internal policy and business interest."
Yeah, you need to do something about that. I don't know what kind of contract they have, but that's horrible. Like, they're actually unironically, like, bombing their game. Yeah, that sucks. It's so stupid. Greedy investors doing greedy shit. I don't know how it works, like, specifically with publisher, but it's just so weird to do that.
Which we have no influence over. We were not informed of their plans and were also surprised by this course of action. We are currently in talks with movie games on this matter. For now, we do not want to publicly neither condone nor approve of the actions before these talks have come to any conclusions. I think basically this dude is saying we don't know if it's good or bad for us yet, so we need to wait to figure it out. We would like to ask everyone on both DDS and Schedule 1 communities to be patient and not spread unnecessary negativity or misinformation. We congratulate the success of Schedule 1 to TVGS and would like every gamer to enjoy and support any game they choose.
PR talk,
Our main focus as the dev team is improving the DDS IP, which also includes learning on the Schedule 1 massive success and its and our community feedback on it. All we ask for now is your understanding. The tone here couldn't be any more different from the original Steam post, where the publisher had framed the investigation as a necessary legal procedure. The developer comes off as almost embarrassed by the entire thing.
The investors, if it's tied with the investors and the publishing, they're probably pissed. Yeah, and they did this behind their backs, which should be something that should be reprimanded. Without the devs even knowing about it. Where was this published? Poland? Like, who's the CEO of the... Rafał Piechewski. I think this is Poland. Yeah.
Then they go out of their way to distance themselves from the publisher's actions, saying that they don't condone or approve of anything yet? What does that even mean? And now they're just waiting for internal talks? I'm just going to go with my gut here and say they didn't expect the backlash to be this bad. There is no chance. There is no way that you are going to convince me that your publisher, without any communication, suddenly launched a legal investigation on your behalf.
It's possible. I'm not going to rule it out. Again, I think both could be true. I think they could have talked about it and they could have gone behind their back. Yeah, very possible.
Using your game as a basis without you knowing anything about it. That is not how legal prep works. To even begin an investigation like this, you need access to build files,
I'd love to
source
know the
assets,
truth.
system documentation, something from the development team to be able to make the comparisons necessary for a legitimate IP case. So either you were involved and now you're walking it back, or your publisher went rogue and dragged you into a legal case without any warning and snuck into your office and
it's possible. That's what's fucked up.
Stole the files. Neither one of those look very good. And even if for whatever reason Byte Runners wasn't involved in this decision, I'm sorry, this is what comes with the territory when you sign up with a publisher.
True.
Tyler didn't. He developed him.
True. Yeah, publishing does have its drawbacks. You don't have to handle anything, but at the same time, you having to deal with everything sucks too. Yeah.
Published Schedule 1 himself. Every decision he makes, every success or controversy, it's all on him. But once you hand over the reins to a publisher, you are also signing up for all of their baggage, the legal departments, the investor meetings, the risk management.
It's like being a VTuber as an indie is an insane amount of work. But at the same time, if you're a part of an agency, you obviously take a pay cut on everything that's given to you. But at the same time, you don't have to stress yourself about people messaging you, what you gotta do every day, day in and day out. Sometimes they manage what content you consume, what you say. You don't have to like put your brain into it, and you can basically like go on autopilot and just play your character. Like, it's nice. I can definitely see the nice side of being part of an agency. It's kind of the same thing. But their bad choices are still your responsibility? Yes, of course. I'm not saying that. Of course. And naturally, I'm not... It just comes with pros and cons. Like, again, it sucks, but it also has its benefits. That's why a lot of agencies are also very successful, because they handle a lot of things so that the talent can prosper and not have the headache of, like, managing merchandise or, like, managing events. Like, that shit's stressful, like, genuinely. And it's the same thing with being a developer. You either handle all the PR yourself, you handle all the publishing, you handle everything, all the communication, everything, and you have to also split that energy between making the fucking game itself. And that can be very stressful, so...
Corporate damage control. You don't get to opt out when it gets uncomfortable. And the claim that the investigation was already in motion before the game took off, total bullshit. The investigation was formally initiated on April 3rd. Schedule 1 launched on March 24th, and by the 30th, it had already hit over 400,000.
No, that's sussy. That's really sus, actually, yeah. Damn, those publishers really fucked them, huh? I don't know. I want to see what comes out of this. This is very sussy.
1,000 concurrent players. This wasn't some long-planned legal strategy. Otherwise, why would you guys have sent them a congratulations email? It was a knee-jerk response to getting blown out of the water. I don't know about you guys, but from where I'm sitting, this looks like a textbook case of a publisher, and more likely their board of directors and shareholders panicking over the fact that the game that they backed didn't deliver, while a solo developer just ate their lunch in broad daylight. So now they're trying to claw back some relevance and revenue through legal pressure instead of actually trying to make games that people want to play. It's all retaliatory. It's all bitter, and it reeks of a system that sees creativity as not something to nurture, but something to control. Now, I actually posted this in a response on Twitter to the Byte Runner CEO's letter to the players, but I basically said, yeah, this must suck to be completely powerless in this situation, but this is exactly what you signed up for. And honestly, the more that I think about it, this probably explains why so many of these self-published indie games are blowing up, while these smaller studios tied to these tiny publishers are scraping by. Creative freedom, no bureaucracy, no boardroom full of guys in suits that are second-guessing your every move, just a developer and an idea. And honestly,
I mean, agencies, again, I keep drawing the comparison between VTubers and having to be in an agency. Like, sometimes it's just a negative. It can be. Like, you don't have the headache of having to manage everything, and you're just clocking in, but then a bunch of suits basically dictate what the fuck you do and how often you do it. And if you don't do it, then you're fired. So, yeah.
That's probably the conversation that we really need to be having here, because this isn't just about one game or one legal spat. There needs to be a bigger push towards independence in video game development. Too many of these publishers aren't interested in creating anything. They don't build worlds. They don't design mechanics. They don't tell stories. What they do is manage. And in that management, they influence the industry more than they contribute to it. Their primary goal isn't to support creativity. It's to control outcomes. They want to shape trends, shape players, shape spending habits. And when they fund something, that comes with strings attached, strings that always pull in the direction of risk aversion or maximizing profits.
Yeah.
Sure, publishers offer funding and infrastructure. They offer
yes, infrastructure for getting sued, but then also if they're, you can't always rely on that either, because sometimes their infrastructure fucking sucks. That's how you get studios like Ubisoft. But Ubisoft was a small little company that made, like, Rayman, and I think, like, they published games before they became big and massive, and then the suits came in, man. There are so many people that have talked about being in the past, being in indie studios that eventually got taken over by the suits, and they always say that that's part of the reason why games and other companies fall is because of going public. Yeah, they go public and the suits take over, and those suits want money. That's what they want, and that's what they're getting. If they don't get that money, then they're pissed, and they mobbed, and they freak out, and they're like, where the fuck is my money? Imagine the same thing happened to Larian. It's really sad. I hope that doesn't happen. Alan, you can't talk about Ubisoft on stream. That's not brand friendly. Who's Alana? No, that's actually a really good point. That's an excellent point, Mr. Chatter. Sometimes you can't fucking shit talk these stupid motherfuckers because you might, like, not get a sponsorship, and that in the end is less money for the fucking corpos at the top. Like, actually, like, you're making fun of it, but that's true. Yeah, you're a brand risk.
Visibility, marketing pipelines, access to networks, but it comes at the cost of freedom, a voice, of innovation. How many times have we heard stories about developers that were pressured into adding in microtransactions that they didn't want to put into their game? Or how many times have we heard about games that were forced to pivot towards live service even when that didn't fit their vision? These decisions rarely come from the development.
Oh my god, thank you. Everyone thinks that live service is the way to go. and that, for example, Schedule 1, 300,000 concurrent players, it's gonna go down, obviously, because people are gonna be done with the game. Maybe they'll make a Schedule 2, or they'll make another game that's kind of similar to Schedule 1 with a different theme, because they have that potential of talent to make something else that's different. But now, they're like, oh, maybe we should make Schedule 1 a fucking live service game. Maybe we make the Schedule 1 a DLC that costs like fucking $20 and you get like nothing out of it. Yeah, so we can milk more money out of them.
Team themselves, they come from people upstairs, people staring at spreadsheets, not playtests, people who see creativity as a variable that needs to be managed, not a driving force. From my perspective, in many ways, publishers have become the industrialists of this medium. They're more concerned with scalability and litigation than actually making games themselves. They commodify everything about the creative process. They strip out the rough edges, the weird ideas, the risk, and replace them with something that fits into their monetization model of the moment. And then they sit back wondering why none of these games are resonating, why they're failing to meet their sales targets. It's not the players that are the problem. It's not the developers that are the problem. It's the layer that's in between, the suits that are trying to systemize everything that's not meant to be a system in the first place.
True.
And the more games that we see, like Schedule...
Because video games aren't meant to be a fucking... Like, you... I understand the logic of saying that video games, at the end of the day, they are a product, but there has to be a balance between art and product. Obviously, people will see the Mona Lisa and they will want a Mona Lisa for themselves. But you're not gonna, like, change the Mona Lisa herself. You can make copies. You can sell copies of the Mona Lisa. Exactly. Like, you're allowed to do that and you're allowed to appreciate it, but you don't want to change the fundamentals of it itself.
One, they're succeeding without them.
Maybe they want it on a mug or something. I don't fucking know.
You know, I think a lot of these publishers and executives that are running these companies are the biggest barrier to creativity and success for the vast majority of these developers. They don't outright build anything themselves. They just go out of their way to try to control it or squash it if it threatens their margins in any way.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Not just for us, the players, but also for the people that are making these games. I mean, like, patent laws in general in the video game ecosystem just don't make any sense whatsoever.
I will never forgive them for putting in horse DLC armor. We wouldn't be in this position. Or maybe we would. It might have been a different game. At the end of the day, that's what's scary to me, man. Like, you can't be serious with this fucking microtransaction shit. They failed to make the new StarCraft like a thing because they didn't want to make a StarCraft 3 because they knew that the genre wasn't gonna make enough money. At the end of the day, they were like, oh, we can't monetize StarCraft, therefore we're not even gonna make it. If you compare games to art, you wouldn't buy a crappy piece of art, so why would you buy a shitty game? Because if you don't buy the shitty game, you're a fucking chud. That's why. So go and buy it, you piece of shit. That's why.
These layers of red tape for something that just shouldn't be there in the first place. Even if a developer isn't trying to copy something, they're just gonna ignore it or try not to be anything like it just out of the implicit threat that comes from legal action. They just stay away from it. That's why we sit back and wonder why we haven't seen a game like this again.
Again, people are dismissing the fact that this might go into a lawsuit, but it's actually kind of scary because Palworld literally had to make a public statement when Nintendo said that they were going to sue them. Like, they served them papers and this was like serious, right? They said, we're sorry, we're not going to be making like updates in the future like we want to, because we don't have the fucking money to fight Nintendo. Nintendo's gonna bleed their balls dry. The fact that they're actually still making updates to me is kind of mind-blowing, because how the hell are they having money and time and like dedicating energy to fighting a lawsuit and making a game at this point? Nintendo's fucked up for that, genuinely. What they're doing with Palworld is just so bad. Same thing happened with Dark and Darker. Yeah, now look at it. It's like, what the frick?
Or that, or whatever it might be. You know, in theory, publishers are supposed to be there to be able to make things easier for developers. They're supposed to be able to take care of all the noise, and then developers just focus on doing what they do best, making video games, and
Thank you.
That's about it. But the minute that you start handing over all of that power, all of a sudden you find out that you don't really get to make a whole lot of decisions on your own anymore. That's
what happened with No Man's Sky as well. Whatever that guy's name was, they had a team of like 6 people. They signed a contract with Sony. Sony fucked them. And they couldn't really back out, or like maybe it was too late. I don't know the legalities of it, but basically they got put in a really fucking horrible position. And they fucked themselves by agreeing to Sony and saying like, yeah, okay, we're gonna go through with it. And they published a crap game and it just shit the bed and ruined their reputation. They couldn't request for the time they needed to finish the game. Yeah, basically, they probably didn't read the contract. Maybe they didn't have a lawyer. I don't fucking know the ins and outs. But at the end of the day, they screwed up by signing with Sony and basically overpromising. Because Sony basically twisted their arm. Yeah.
What's happened to some of these people?
No Man's Sky is great nowadays, though. Yeah, but the public perception, like, even 10 years later, I think the game came out in, like, 2018? Or something, maybe 2016. I can't remember. Maybe it was yeah, it was 2016. Okay, it's been like 10 years. People still, like the large majority of the public, because of the publisher screw up and fucking over this indie company, basically, they do not want to play No Man's Sky. It's only through word of mouth that they were like, oh yeah, No Man's Sky is actually a pretty decent game. But there's a lot of people that are just permanently lost to time, that they don't want to play the game, even if the game is like decent now.
Get in bed with these guys. This is the end result of that. They go out and attack your competition. How does that feel? I can't imagine that feels very good.
Yeah.
These guys are creatives. They want to make games. They want other people to be inspired by their work and make games of their own. And now you have to sit back and watch what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, man, but you're not innocent in that. And you know, we feel the effects of it too, without a doubt. We still get some great games. But at the exact same time, I mean, I've had a really weird feeling that things have just kind of felt samey for a really long time. Very samey, very safe in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the fact that, you know, if any game tries to make a game like Pokemon, they're going to get scared away, or they're going to
Yes! Oh my god! If you want to make a game like Dota or League of Legends, or you want to make a World of Warcraft, like, you want to make an MMO, people immediately are like, oh, well, if it's too similar to World of Warcraft, Blizzard's gonna sue you. It's like, that shouldn't be how it is. EverQuest literally inspired World of Warcraft. A lot of the people that used to play EverQuest back in the day were way older than you and I, to be honest. They're like in their 50s now. But they didn't try to sue Blizzard for making an MMO. Like, it had its similarities, obviously, but like, they weren't scared to publish their shit.
It's sued into oblivion. So many mechanics. I mean, look at the way that Nintendo has litigated and patented just about everything. Sony's been doing the same thing. Look at WB Games and the Nemesis system. Something that would revolutionize RPGs, and we'll never see it. Ever.
True.
There's such a poison to this industry.
True.
It's insane. And you look around and notice almost every single one of these breakout hits have always been self-published. And
almost
in some cases where these developers did go through a publisher, the only reason they did that was to be able to protect their identity. There needs to be more options for that.
True.
That needs to be nurtured and taken care of. There needs to be more developers that are making games themselves, publishing games themselves, and there needs to be an easier way for these guys to get onto platforms without the need of a publisher.
The Coffin of Andy and Lele, one of the most popular little freaking story RPGs, like, they actually doxed the creator. They were self-published and they fucking doxed him. And they said, I have to get off the internet because we're getting death threats, and like, death threats to my fucking family. Capcom, are you with them? Why are you bringing up Capcom? Why are they relevant? Like, bro. Yeah, they did. They actually fucking doxed them. They had to get off the internet forever, basically. Or they may have come back, but there's
already ways for them. You don't even need publishers anymore. Sure, for like legal and patent and stuff like that, hire a lawyer, man. Why are you handing away all of your profit and all of your control to a bunch of people that don't want to have anything to do with the creative process whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense. You can promote your games online with no problem. Balatro had next to no marketing whatsoever.
Yeah.
Schedule 1 had next to no marketing whatsoever. Valheim had no marketing whatsoever. There's so many more examples that I could give of games that never had an ad or a commercial or anything like that. They were just on Steam. People played it. People liked it. Spread by word of mouth. Fair price, good game. People go buy it.
I saw Tenma playing Balatro before it even popped off. I was like, this looks fun. Yeah, I watched Tenma play it a bit.
As far as it needs to go. That's what needs to happen. We need more of it.
True.
And I want that to be a big focus. I think Steam is the leader in that. Steam's definitely the one that's been pushing and helping a lot of these indie developers be able to find their legs in the industry. And I appreciate that. I think everybody does. There's a lot of games that we would have never had if it wasn't for Steam. So,
Dota.
Thank God for Gavin. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, share the video to your friends, share it on social media. Come watch me on Twitch. Come join the Discord.
Yay!
Come hang out. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.
Peace. Family, 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 family. That was a great video. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. No, I think pretty much all AAA freaking gamer, what is it called? Publishers are usually made to fuck over the little guy because they want to make money. There are very few instances where it's like, damn, like you really did this? Like Larian is a really good example of that. They published a massive update and it was for free. No DLC, like extra classes, extra, what is it called? Subclasses and shit. It's like, oh my God. It's insane.
Fire, 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 fire.